다이얼도 없고 시분침도 없습니다. 이 시계는 무브먼트가 시계의 진정한 주인공이라는 말을 문자 그대로 실현합니다. 분침의 자리를 대신하는 건 움직이는 메인 플레이트 위에 일자로 늘어선 밸런스 휠과 이스케이프먼트, 기어 트레인입니다. 태엽통과 와인딩 메커니즘을 제외한 사실상의 무브먼트 전체가 1시간에 한 바퀴를 돕니다. 그렇다면 몇 시인지는 어떻게 알까요? 다이얼의 자리에 있는 디스크가 24시간마다 한 바퀴를 돌면서 시침 역할도 같이 수행합니다. 크라운도 없습니다. 통상적인 방식으로 와인딩을 하거나 시간을 맞출 수 없다는 뜻입니다. 손으로 동력을 주려면 시계를 뒤집어야 합니다. 케이스백을 화살표 방향으로 돌려서 와인딩을 해줍니다. 시간을 맞추는 방식은 더 독특합니다. 6시 방향에 있는 잠금 레버를 올리면 베젤이 돌아가는데요. 베젤의 움직임에 따라서 무브먼트 전체가 돌아가면서 시간을 앞뒤로 세팅할 수 있습니다. 시계를 이루는 핵심 요소는 무엇이어야 하는가를 다시 생각하게끔 만드는 이 괴물 같은 시계의 이름은 정말로 괴물이라는 뜻의 프릭입니다.
And I find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set them rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true.
프릭이 등장 당시에 더 충격적으로 받아들여졌던 이유는 실리콘이라는 신소재를 처음 시계에 도입했기 때문입니다. 지금은 자성이나 마찰, 온도 변화의 강한 장점 때문에 파텍 필립 같은 전통적인 하이엔드 브랜드들도 실리콘을 쓰지만 프릭 이전까지 스위스 시계 업계의 그 누구도 실리콘이 워치메이킹에 대혁신을 가져오리라는 생각을 하지는 못했습니다. 프릭에게 실리콘은 그저 기존의 금속 합금이 수행하던 역할을 더 잘 수행하는 정도의 신소재가 아니었습니다. 프릭은 무브먼트 전체를 분침처럼 회전하게끔 하는 시계인데 금속으로 된 전통적인 이스케이프먼트는 너무 무거워서 이런 컨셉을 실현할 수가 없었습니다. 실리콘은 프릭이 컨셉이 아니라 실물의 시계로서 존재하기 위해서 꼭 필요했던 결정적인 소재였습니다. 무엇보다 놀라운 건 프릭이 처음 등장했던 해가 무려 22년 전인 2001년이라는 사실입니다. 당시만 해도 스위스 시계업계는 쿼츠 파동의 후유증을 갓 극복하고 단종시켰던 예전의 전설적인 기계식 모델들을 부활시키는 데 만족하고 있었습니다. 아직까지 스위스 시계업계는 정신나간 컨셉을 앞세우는 독립 브랜드라는 개념을 알지 못했습니다. 그도 그럴 것이 리처드 밀은 이제 막 출범한 회사였고 나중에 MB&F를 이끌게 되는 막시밀리안 부전은 여전히 해리 윈스턴을 지휘하고 있었습니다. 그때까지도 로저 드비는 파텍 필립의 오마주 시계들을 만들고 있었고 장클로드 비버는 위블로가 아니라 스와치 그룹에서 일하고 있었습니다. 제이콥 앤 코는 아직 보석을 세공하는 회사였고 우르베르크 역시 큰 존재감이 없던 시기였습니다. 이 시점에 율리스 나르데는 워치메이킹의 관행에서 극단적으로 벗어나는 신종 괴물을 창조한 겁니다. 비평에서나 흥행에서나 결과는 대성공이었습니다. 처음에는 몇 겹짜리 한정판으로 출시가 됐지만은 시계 애호가들의 큰 사랑을 받으면서 곧 레귤러 컬렉션이 됐습니다. 이제는 22년을 장수한 브랜드의 상징이 됐습니다. 최근 들어 율리스 나르데는 프릭을 소수의 수집가들을 위한 난해한 시계가 아니라 좀 더 많은 시계 팬들을 겨냥한 힙한 시계로 바꾸려는 시도를 계속하고 있습니다. 몇 년 전부터 오토매틱 버전을 내놓는 한편으로 디자인도 계속해서 정돈해 나가는 모습입니다. 가격도 원래는 9만 불이 훌쩍 넘었지만 제일 최근 모델인 프릭 1은 6만 불대로 많이 현실화됐습니다. 2019년에는 좀 더 접근하기 좋은 가격대에서 만날 수 있는 프릭 X 시리즈도 내놓았습니다. 실리콘 소재로 제작된 오버사이즈 밸런스 휠을 앞에 배치하면서 프릭의 기술적 핵심을 여전히 지키고는 있지만은 와인딩 메커니즘과 일부 기어 트레인은 보통의 오토매틱 무브먼트와 공유하고 있습니다. 크라운을 통해서 와인딩을 하고 시간을 세팅하는 통상적인 방식을 따르고 있기도 하고요. 기술적으로는 기존의 프릭 컬렉션에 비해서 덜 흥미로워진 시계지만은 그 어느 때보다 디자인은 깔끔해졌고 가격은 롤렉스 데이토나 수준까지 내려갔습니다. 역시 비평에서나 흥행에서나 새로운 시도에 대한 평가가 좋습니다. 케어링 그룹에서 독립한 첫 해였던 2022년 율리스 나르덴의 매출은 전년 대비 비약적인 성장을 기록했습니다. 프릭 시리즈의 최신작인 프릭 1은 시계업계의 아카데미라고 불리는 권위 있는 제네바 와치 그랑프리에서 아이코닉 워치 부문의 수상작으로 선정되기도 했습니다. 참고로 2021년의 수상작은 오데마 피게의 로야로크였고 2022년의 수상작은 태그우이어의 모나코였습니다. 그동안 한국에서 별다른 활동이 없었던 율리스 나르덴이 내년 여름에 공식적으로 한국 시장에 복귀한다고 합니다. 카카오톡 오픈 채팅에 공식 채널을 미리 열었다고 하니까요. 브랜드나 시계에 대한 문의가 있다면 연락해 보시는 걸 추천드립니다. 올해 12월 2일에 컬렉션들을 미리 만나볼 수 있는 VIP 대상의 행사가 있다고 하는데 이것도 관심 있는 분들은 공식 채널로 문의해 보시면 좋을 것 같습니다. 오늘 영상을 준비하는데 공을 많이 들였습니다. 브랜드의 최고 성장 책임자 매튜 하벨라님과 만나서 율리스 나르덴에 대한 자세한 소개를 직접 부탁드렸고요. 2001년 당시 최초의 프릭을 설계했던 역대급 천재 워치메이커 루트비 웨슐린 박사님과도 이야기를 나눠봤습니다. 먼저 매튜 하벨라님께 그동안 율리스 나르덴이 한국에서 별다른 활동이 없었던 이유를 물었습니다.
Thank you very much, Samuel, for inviting me. Such a pleasure to be with you today. So, Mathieu Havalon, I'm French, living in Switzerland. I've been in the watchmaking industry
you're
for
French?
15 years. Yes, I'm French. I was born in Corsica, the island at the south of France.
Napoleon, same place.
Same city, Ajaccio. I'm a watch fan, and I've been with UN for 7 years and Chief Growth Officer for the company, and I'm part of the management team who took over Ulysse Nardin from Kering Group.
Ulysse Nardin has been not very active recently in South Korea, so you are about to change this situation. What kind of watch fans are you looking for in South Korea?
Definitely. We've not been very active in the past years in Korea, and it's a pity. And it's because I think we wanted to really make sure that we find the right distribution footprint in order to really address properly the market. So that indeed is about to change. It's a very important market. And I think the client that we are looking for is people who obviously like watchmaking, who are passionate about innovation, and definitely people who don't enjoy the statu quo. People who are here to make a difference. It can be artists, scientists, entrepreneurs, but really people who are not walking in somebody else's footsteps. Because I want them to resonate with the brand, I want them to resonate with the Frick, because this is what the brand stands for.
Since we are at the Watches and Wonders, we need to talk about all the wonders from your brand. So you introduced 2 new products this year. Earlier this year, Frick 1, and several weeks ago, the Blast Freehill. What do we need to know about these new timepieces?
I think the Frick has been the watchmaking game changer in the 21st century. Until the late 90s, watchmaking was still very much traditional. From an aesthetical standpoint, Frick gave birth to modern watchmaking with an innovation in terms of aesthetic. First watch to be able to read the time without a crown, without hands, without dial, right? And technological breakthrough with the silicon. So that's why, I mean, Frick 1 was kind of going back to the roots of the first generation of Frick without having a crown, a dial, and hands, but in a very much more contemporary approach. So that's, for instance, the first Frick that we've done on a integrated rubber strap. I absolutely love the design. It's very much contemporary. It's also very much wearable. It's based in titanium with a rose gold bezel. And it has the grinder system, which is a patented automatic system, which is the most effective automatic system on the market. So that's Frick 1, and that was back in April in Geneva. We released a couple of weeks ago in Geneva also the Blast Freehill. What I love about that piece is obviously the movement, so it's a constant force escapement tourbillon. It's really haute horlogerie. And the one with the blue dial, which is actually a marquetry of silicium. So it's a show also that we are able to innovate in some traditional métier d'art. And we are launching the 3rd piece of the year, the Frick X Kaki Magma, actually this week in Shanghai, which is the one that I'm wearing.
It looks like carbon case, right?
Yes,
Carbon.
so it's a mix of carbonium. Carbonium, it's carbon and aluminium that we are recycling from the fuselage, the wing of the plane that are no longer in use. And that has been mixed with a green resin called epoxy.
And it has really nice Velcro style strap, and it looks very tactical.
It's actually a Velcro nylon, and 100% of the strap is recycled from fishing nets from the sea.
So
And I think it gives the watch, a stays mode, a very good appearance.
how many pieces are
So it's not a
there?
limited edition, but for
it's
the
not
next
limited.
18 months, we will produce only 200 pieces. That's for sure the coolest Freak X launch to date.
Yeah. Ulysse Nardin is well known for introducing new technological innovations to the watchmaking world, as you described earlier. According to your opinion, what are the top 3 innovations that can help us to understand why Ulysse Nardin matters?
For sure, I have to talk about the silicone because we were the first brand to have silicone in watch component. In the escapement, the balance wheel, the hairspring, they are the most smallest and precious part of a watch. And because of magnetism, and because of the use of the frequent shocks, that basically get quickly used in the time. So silicon was very a breakthrough, and because of that patent become public in 2021, 20 years after the launch of the first Freak. Now you've got, many brands that are using silicon. So I think that really was a game changer in the watchmaking. That's innovation number 1. Second innovation that came a bit later in the mid-2000 was what we call the diamond seal. This is still patented by Ulysse Nardin, where we are covering, for instance, the anchor in synthetic diamond on top of the silicone to make it even more bulletproof over time.
Wow.
And probably the third innovation that I mentioned a bit earlier, because we are really the only one to do it, is the marquetry of silicium. You have the marquetry of wood, you have the marquetry of straw, and you have the marquetry of silicium, which is only made by Ulysse Nardin.
There used to be a more comprehensive collection of watches on the Ulysse Nardin's catalog. I checked the homepage yesterday. There are only 5 core collections right now. What is the logic behind this simplification of the lineup?
I think the brand needs to be understood very simply by the consumer. UN for sure has never been a mono product brand, right? And we won't be. So we have to offer diversity, and to be able to say to you, at least 4 key things and 4 key collection of Ulysse Nardin, I think it's enough. So actually we've got mainly 4.
So even 5 is a lot to you. So 4.
4 is the main focus. So
Okay.
we've got the classical range, which is kind of being phased out, and the 4 key collection is the marine. Marine is linked to our heritage. The dial is really tribute to the original marine deck chronometer. Then you've got divers, which are becoming step by step only in sustainable materials, and we do also do autologery, like skeletonized dial in the diver. We have the blast. Blast is a very modern case to encase our autology movement, like the Blast Freewheel, Blast Skeleton Tourbillon, like our Striker, and last but not least, the Freak.
Freak. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And one collection is totally different from the others, so it makes better sense to me. There used to be too many collections, so I like this simplification. There is no obvious entry-level timepiece in Ulysse Nardin's current offerings. Perhaps the Marine collection is the most affordable, the most approachable one, whereas the Freak X is more attractive but a bit pricier. If I'm a first-time Ulysse Nardin buyer, which one would you recommend most to me?
You can be a first-time buyer and have the budget to buy a Freak, right? But let's say you have a budget of 10,000 Swiss francs. I would definitely go for a Marine Torpedo, because that's a heritage. Ulysse Nardin was created in
But
1846.
then you can say you should save your money until you can buy the Freak X. That's the real thing. You can say that.
For me, the entry to UN is Freak.
Freak.
So if you are a collector, your watch collection is not complete until you have a Freak.
Oh,
Right?
that's a strong statement. But yeah, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Yeah, if possible, I have to save my money until I can afford at least the Freak X, right?
Absolutely.
That's your
Absolutely.
recommendation.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. That makes sense. Jules Narden has enjoyed more than a full year of independence after the separation from the Kering Group. What have been the key benefits and challenges of being independent so far?
So far, I only see really positive outcome. When we were part of Kering, we had a lot of freedom. So it's not like things have changed night and day, right? I think the main change is probably the spirit in the company, which is even stronger than before. So it's really entrepreneurial. People feel even more passionate about what they do. So and I think also there is a continuity in what we do. It's not like there is a Ulysse Nardin of before and the Ulysse Nardin of yesterday. Probably the main change is the length of how far we can plan. The vision is much longer term. Currently, basically, we are working on a product plan for the next 10 years. Before, it was more or less of 3-4 years being part of a group. And the also approach on how we want to grow the brand equity. What matters is not short-term revenue. We want to build a strong brand, and therefore, at the moment, for instance, we are not at all increasing production. We are keeping a flat production.
So the management team of Ulysse Nardin is also the owners of Ulysse Nardin, right? I think that explains a lot to us.
That's a specificity. You've got family-owned businesses, you've got private equity owned businesses like Breitling, for instance, and you've got the UN model and GP model, which is basically a management buyout, so owned by the management. It's the people in the company that own the company.
Yeah, so you don't have investors who need to be satisfied in a short run.
No.
So that's why it's better. What can you expect from Ulysse Nardin in the near future? Will there be more innovative stuff or new designs or more customized offering for South Korean market or some of it? Please tell us anything you can share with us right now.
For sure I will. Maybe the good news of being independent, you can also share more, right?
Right.
Look, I think a couple of things. You may have seen today on the booth in Shanghai, there is Ludwig Oschling with us. He's
The watchmaker, the master.
the master watchmaker. He's a legend. He's a genius. He's the man behind the Freak. So because now we are independent, basically back with us, and you could expect new development with Ludwig. This is one. Two, you're going to see probably also innovation again in the material we are using, especially the sustainable materials in our watches. And you could expect in the Freak, not short term, but something very, very high end with a completely new caliber, but on the upper end of the collection at some point. And there is finally the Marine collection, which is the heritage. This is where we're coming from. We are thinking about the next step and to bring that collection to the next level. Is to say to you that UN exists since 1846, right? Ulysse Nardin is a contemporary horology brand, but we've got the backup of a strong heritage. Look, thank you so much,
Thank you
Samuel.
for your time.
매튜 하벨라님은 프릭이 없다면 누구의 컬렉션도 완전하다고 할 수 없다 라는 용감한 주장을 하셨는데요. 시계의 역사에서 율리스 나르덴의 가장 중요한 기여라고 하면 프릭을 꼽아야 할 겁니다. 프릭이나 시간의 3부작 같은 율리스 나르덴의 걸작 시계들을 설계했을 뿐만 아니라 날짜를 앞뒤로 돌려가며 맞춰도 되는 퍼페추얼 캘린더를 개발하기도 했고, 메커니즘을 단순화한 애뉴얼 캘린더를 개발해서 현대 컴플리케이션의 발전에 결정적인 기여를 한 천재 워치메이커 루트비 웨슐린 박사님을 만났습니다. 우선 프릭의 제작 비화에 대해서 여쭤보고 싶었는데요.
Since this is really rare opportunity for us, we would like to hear more about the origins of Freak. What was the first thing you had in mind when you decided to create such an experimental watch?
Oh, the first thing what I have in mind to create the Freak was to help Ulysse Nardin to find a better solution than the project that at the time they would make and was not possible to really realize. But Rolf Schneider sold the project and I could not be behind to see that he sold something that is not function. So I would make something that is function as a project that is really out of normally and completely new, and so that is a concept project for a watch. So the Freak becomes the really first concept watch in the world.
You're talking about the newness of the Freak. So in what sense Freak was new at that time?
The Freak, the new things in the Freak is that the barrel is the whole diameter of the case behind, and in the front the movement gives you the time, not hands, but the moving movement around gives you the time for minutes and hours, and so you have a complete new design and complete new technical part inside.
You tried that because it was challenging or it would be more efficient? What was the reason behind this new layout?
The new layout, the
reason?
reason was to find really a new concept for indicate the time. Mm-hmm. Yes. So because all the other things are conventional and with hand and analog, and so, and the Freak goes really further with a complete new indication part.
Mm-hmm. And how was the initial reception of the Freak when it was first launched?
Okay, the first launch was in Basel with the Basel Clique, with pipes and drums and all these things to make a big event around the launching of the Freak, and this was really a highlight. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Did you expect that it will become a living legend?
No.
No.
I would make something that is beautiful, is freaky, or something not really serious, but a playthings and this thing, and this is really all the Freak is there inside.
Who gave the name Freak?
I.
You
No, because I thought that this concept that I made is so apart, so not normally, that is only Freak.
The Freak collection has been evolved in many different forms over the last 2 decades. Is there any particular iteration of the Freak you like more than others?
No, the problem is that on the development of the further development of the Freak, I was not involved.
Uh-huh.
So my preferred Freak is always the first that's coming out.
It is your
and
own
and
Freak.
the other Freaks I saw it in the development, but I was not involved in this development.
But you can recognize this is my son, or this is kind of relative of my son. You can recognize that. And maybe some of iteration you don't want to approve. Are there anything like that?
No. All step of Freaks that coming out was new concept watches. There had always the Freak was the basic for a lot of innovation, new things, and each Freak at the time it was a new concept watch and had new innovations inside, so that every Freak was always the best at last.
Mm-hmm. Your main interest also lies in creating interesting astronomical complications and calendar display. Why those two things are so important to you?
Okay, a useful thing to indicate time is in the first level, the hour, the minute, and the second. Yes, and in the same level or a little bit far down is then always the calendar. But you need this each day. You need for organization, you with other people, you need the calendar and the time indication. And these two things I like to present and make in watches that is visible, that is good to learn, good seeing, and all these things. And this was the first thing. And the second thing is the philosophical part with the astronomical indication, that you say that all what you mean as time comes from the Earth with his rotation. Yes, you have all here with each watches you have a little earth on the hand that is a model of the big earth that goes in the 24 hours, 12 hours half around, yes, and so that you remember where you are in the cosmos.
Uh-huh. And stars, sun, and moon are the first watch for mankind.
Yeah, and then in the cosmos, the really important two things are the sun and the moon. And I make often in watches, I make the sun and the moon.
Does the creation of the Freak have something to do with your astronomical interest? Because it looks like stars are revolving around.
Yes.
Yeah. So
That is an epicyclical gear wheel. Yeah, okay.
I admire your trilogy of time. That's the best watch created by Ulysse Nardin.
Perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps. But they look really complicated and they look almost impractical to some of watch fans.
Yeah.
So what would be the best way to understand those creations?
And this begins with the Astrolab, and the Astrolab could not be alone, so I made the planetarium with and then the tellurium. But these are really high complicated astronomical watches that is really difficult to explain on the people. And in this way, I thought to make another watch that is less complicated and more visible and have more to see directly what is going on the sky. And so I make the Moonstruck. Yes, the Moonstruck is a part of the trilogy, the fourth piece that is simpler to indicate the same things.
So the original trilogy of time is not for ordinary watch fans. It's for more
for philosophical pleasures and people that know something about the sky and the universe.
and Moonstruck is targeted.
Moonstruck is really simple.
It is more simple. When you create watches, what kind of understanding do you expect from watch fans or users?
I expect nothing.
Nothing?
Because all the watch that I make for myself first.
First.
Yes. And then comes other people and said, oh, that's beautiful. I like it. Can I have? So that you go and say, okay, then we make a production or something like this. But all the watches that I made, is GMT or the calendar, the perpetual or something like this, first I made for myself.
But my assumption was that there should be your preferred way by which people understand your creations.
No, the problem is there was Rolf Schneider that interested my construction and I produced for Ulysse Nardin. But I, with the people or with the seller or with people that buys watches, I had nothing to do. So I'm really behind of this. Yeah.
Literally, you are the man behind the Freak and the time.
Yeah, I'm behind there, but I never sold the Freak.
But in one of your interviews, you are trying to create watches in order to help people communicate with each other.
Yeah.
So you don't like to communicate your watches in a better way?
No, I'm not really a selling man.
But you can still explain why you created this watch and
I can explain why I made the watch for me and what I would to do with, but I cannot explain it in this way and saying you have it now to buy. This is not really not my
not like you have to buy this. Like in order to understand and appreciate this piece, you need understand this mechanism.
I can explain all the mechanisms so that also the other people at last can understand the thing. Yes, okay.
If watch fans understand those mechanisms and how they work, you like that.
Right? So that I have a possibility to make conservation and a discussion. Yeah.
Do you wear complicated watches in your everyday life?
Always.
Always
The last that I made. Okay.
So which timepiece do you wear most often?
Always the last.
Always the last.
Always
your
the
last
last
creation?
Yeah, always the last that I made. Yeah.
According to your opinion, what is the best creation of
that I created?
Yeah.
Oh, it's always the last because
Always
it's
the last.
in any way the best because it's the the last construction that have all behind what I made before. And for the creator that I made before is perhaps the planetarium of Ulysse Nardin.
And you learned something from last project, and
Always, I developed always step by step the last project wider.
are you currently working on something interesting with Ulysse Nardin?
The Ulysse Nardin has new projects. Yes.
New project with you?
With my
Okay, you are working on it. Is it possible to share?
No,
no, it's not
that is
possible.
in the pipeline, and the pipeline is explosive when you go and make a hole inside.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for
Okay,
your
good.
precious
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Thank you very much for your interest.
프릭을 설계한 천재 워치메이커 외슐린 박사님까지 만나봤고요. 저희 채널이 준비한 율리스 나르덴 특집은 여기까지입니다. 다음번엔 좀 더 상세한 시계 리뷰를 준비해서 보여드리도록 할 거고요. 오늘도 여러분들께 유용한 정보가 됐기를 바랍니다. 이상 SHW 채널, 저는 김세영알이었습니다. 안녕히 계십시오.